accounts and taking it off the tax rolls.
Wolf was on the executive.
And the other thing, yeah.
Let me ask you, Robert Wolf is on the executive board of UBS International. He served on that board with Raoul Weil, who was actually effectively the boss of Mr. Birkenfeld. Could you tell us who Raoul Weil is and where he is today?
I'm not quite sure where he is today, but the top management, what made this scandal so significant is that the top management of UBS consciously created an entire program that eventually had about $20 billion of U.S. assets in it. This was not a mistake. This was not a rogue operation. It was a formal division of the largest bank in the world, created to take wealth from the United States, put it into secret accounts, take it off the tax rolls, conduct illegal stock trades from these accounts, and then they hired bankers to facilitate the operation. Mr. Birkenfeld is the hero here. He was the only banker to realize what was going on and to come to the government and say, look at this fraud. And this is a fraud perpetuated by the top officials of UBS. And what was their, they went after UBS somewhat internationally, not in America, and then they went after the whistleblower. That wasn't right. That has to be fixed.
And Raoul Weil, who is he?
He was one of the top managers of UBS who had full knowledge of the secret programs.
Stephen Cohen, I remember the photograph in the papers last August when President Obama went to Martha's Vineyard the first day he teed off with Robert Wolf, and it happened to be just about the same time that Birkenfeld was handed this 40-month prison sentence after pleading guilty to assisting clients evading taxes. Talk about the deal that was made. Who gets exposed and who doesn't, of this list of thousands of clients who have these offshore accounts?
Yeah, this was incredible. 19,000 American millionaires and billionaires had these offshore accounts. You had to be very wealthy to set one of these up. The government created an amnesty program. So if you voluntarily turned yourself in, you escaped any prosecution and even public exposure. No one would even know who you were. On the other hand, to Mr. Birkenfeld, who didn't even have an account, Mr. Birkenfeld, who turned it in, he was sentenced to prison and was not offered immunity. So that's the dichotomy. In terms of the other bankers who they caught, they were let go with no jail time or maybe just detained for a week or two. In terms of people who owned these secret accounts but were caught, they were given probation. The billionaire, his largest client with $200 million in illegal accounts, probation. Mr. Birkenfeld, who the government admits was the reason why all of these illegal shenanigans were uncovered. The government admits it was his information that recouped $780 million in fines, and the government admits that it was his allegations that have driven about $3 to $5 billion in payments of back taxes. Yet, he's the one who they put into prison. And the only way now to get him out of jail is through clemency. And that's the only way to send a message now that somehow in the United States whistleblowers will be welcomed. If every day they keep Birkenfeld in prison, sends a chilling effect to the numerous other bankers who have information. When the Senate investigated Birkenfeld's allegations and conducted a full review of illegal offshore accounts, they estimated that there was $3 to $5 trillion of United States assets in offshore accounts. The UBS scheme that Birkenfeld turned in was $20 billion. The Senate estimated that there was a minimum of $100 billion lost per year by these illegal accounts. How will the American people ever discover who has these accounts? How will these accounts ever be closed down? How will the bankers ever be brought to justice? Through whistleblowers. But the first whistleblower in history to step forward and release this information is in jail. And all the other people who held the accounts or conducted the transactions are not in jail. This is not right. So the government, and it's up to the president now, has to issue a clemency. He has to issue a strong statement encouraging the other international bankers to step forward. The problem with these secret accounts is a lot worse than just U.S. taxpayers losing money. These accounts are used by corrupt politicians to put their bribe money. They're used by officials in developing countries to put illegally stolen development funds, money stolen from food programs, education programs. Who puts money into these illegal accounts? How are they misused? The scandal exposed by Mr. Birkenfeld, and keep in mind, he was the first major banker ever in world history to take information from these top secret foreign accounts and give them to the government for prosecution. How was he treated? That's the message. This is a major news story in Switzerland. This is a major news story throughout the entire banking community. This is being watched. I was interviewed by Swiss TV yesterday. The people who manage the secret bank accounts are watching Birkenfeld with a magnifying glass. They want to know, how has the United States treated him? And it's simply
Stephen Cohen, we want to
simple.
thank you for being with us. Bradley Birkenfeld's attorney, executive director of the National Whistleblowers Center. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. We'll be back in a minute.